Being ready. Hey everyone, thank you so much for being so available on a long weekend. Thank you for those who are in Ontario. It's Friday, it's a long weekend. So thank you for joining our Level Up program, the fourth and last edition on skilled trades in construct related to construction. Thank you. So today we're going to change it a little bit. Usually I know we start right away doing the introduction and everything, but we were going to start with Toronto Community Benefit Network, who's going to wow us with their programs and everything they do. And then from there, afterward, I'll introduce all our special guests and start from there. Thank you. So over to you, Fatima. So you could just introduce Afropolitan and then we could start.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Fatma. I am the program coordinator at Afropolitan Canada. Afropolitan Canada is a non-for-profit organization based in Toronto. We use our platform and expertise to support people of color in the development of socio-professional and entrepreneurial skills. Our mission is to empowering young women and men of color with the key competencies, mentorship program, resources, and networking needed to succeed in their professional lives in Canada. So thank you again for joining us today. Thank you, Rokhaya. Thank you to the guest speaker, and I wish you a wonderful workshop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So what I'll do is I'll introduce our special guest. We have Darshika Selvasivan, and she's a senior coordinator of newcomers services in charge of coordinating the Pathway into Construction program at the TCBN, which is the Toronto Community Benefit Network, which she will go in depth and explain who they are and their mission and values. She also, hopefully I'm saying it right, Tamil feminist activist within the Toronto community, advocate for expelled and suspended high school students in Scarborough, works to build a more equitable society through the Canadian Federation of Students and the Canadian Labour Council, BA in International Development Studies, and a certificate in Refugee and Migration Studies from York University. Wow, mouthful. Congrats. I have here also with us, we have Manuela Sapp, and she's the program coordinator of the TCBN, so Toronto Community Benefit Network, more than 8 years of experience in adult education field, held many positions in educational settings, facilitator in learning programs at George Brown College and in non-for-profit organizations as well, Bachelor of Business Administration from Catholic University in Brazil. I want to go there. And Masters of Adult Education and Community Development from University of Toronto, U of T in Canada. As you know, we're in Toronto, and passionate about helping clients gain knowledge and skills to meet their career goals. So welcome. Thank you. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I'll share my screen if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Could you enable sharing capacity, please?
Yes.
I think it's okay now. I think you can.
It's okay now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, Rokhaya, thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's great to be here. Happy Friday, everyone, and really honored to be in the space to be able to talk about careers in construction. On behalf of Manuela and I, we wanted to thank Rokhaya and the team, Fatima and Afropolitan, for the opportunity. So with no further ado, today we're here to speak about starting your career in the construction trades. And as Rokhaya mentioned, we're staff with the Toronto Community Benefits Network. So today's agenda is as follows. We're hoping to have, we'll be going into the land acknowledgement, recognize the land that we're on, and then welcome and introductions, getting to know some of you a bit so that we know who exactly is in the space. And then we'll be talking about TCBN, community benefits agreements, and then the benefits of these community benefits agreements, otherwise known as CBAs. Then we'll be talking about the major contractors of CBAs and going in depth about the opportunities that are available as a result of this, and then also job opportunities in CBA projects that are available. And then we'll be moving into what the TCBN programming looks like in terms of the model that we follow through our employment pathway. And then finally, we'll be covering programs offered at TCBN and how you can benefit from these opportunities. So to begin with the land acknowledgement, the land I am standing on today is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 signed with the Mississauga of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Chippewa and Mississauga bands. The relevance of the and significance of the land acknowledgement, particularly in the context of construction, is that we significantly benefit from the construction industry and being able to dig the land and build on the land and provide opportunity for future generations. And so it's vital that we pay respect to the first people of this land and the Indigenous people of this land who have welcomed us as settlers. And so that's the significance of conducting the land acknowledgement. So this is our contact information for Manuela and myself, but we'll tell you more about how you can get in contact with us, but we'll leave this here for now. And if you have any direct questions, you know where to contact us. So I will begin with, the Toronto Community Benefits Network and our journey. So our foundation is that we were founded in 2014, and we serve and focus on 5 main groups, target groups, who are youth, predominantly Black youth, women, Indigenous people, racialized and people, and newcomers. And we advocate for and negotiate community benefits agreements. Essentially, when we began, it started through a community activism and mobilization where the community knocked on the door of Metrolinx and said that we want a space to be able to mobilize and have access to the opportunities that others who don't live in the community that the construction is happening in are benefiting from. And these are our tax dollars. And so, having access to those jobs and those unionized quality jobs and professional, administrative, and technical jobs where our tax dollars are being invested into should go to the local community that is right outside that chain link fence. And so with that goal, we began to mobilize to be able to produce good jobs and economic opportunities for the community through investment in infrastructure and urban development. And so what that means is being able to create an economic shift, taking billions of tax dollars, as you'll see later on, that are invested into these community benefits projects, and then injecting them back into the community so that generations of community members can benefit from the jobs and careers and opportunities that come with the trades. And so the programs that follow through and that we've been facilitating as a result at TCBN are access to construction apprenticeships, professional, administrative, and technical jobs. So what that means is 2 streams: construction jobs where you're working hands-on, building the very spaces that we're sitting in, the roads, the buildings, the walls, and the electrical makeup, depending on the trade, but also the professional, administrative, technical jobs that are available at the companies that are contracted to be able to build these projects. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And then also providing access to social procurement opportunities where small business in the area is able to access contracts and other maybe catering contracts through these companies and through the projects that are being funded. And then finally, neighborhood environmental improvement. So local local areas and green space being created in the interest of the local community, who will continue to be in that space long after the construction is done and gone. And so what voice does the community have in being able to navigate this and being able to negotiate and be at the table in making these decisions? So that's really behind community benefits agreements. And I'll go through what those community benefits agreements are that allow us. Sorry, I think there is somebody's unmuted. kindly mute yourself. Thank you. So as I was saying, the community benefits agreements that allow these the community to be at the table involve the following. They're legally binding, they're negotiated with the community, and they entail commitments for local and social job opportunities. What that means is the commitments are geographically local in the local area that the project is being built. So whether it's the Eglinton Crosstown that spans Eglinton and affects communities along the pathway and along the LRT, or whether it's the Woodbine Casino up in Etobicoke or the West Park Healthcare Center, the communities in those local areas need to be able to benefit. But there's also a social qualifier, and that qualifier involves historically underrepresented groups. As we spoke about target groups earlier in terms of TCBN's focus, those historically underrepresented groups need to be able to have access to the opportunities. And so that's where the commitment falls in, where we talk about local and social opportunities, recognizing the benefits and the social determinants of being locally benefiting from something that's being invested in your community, but also the social qualifiers that would, the social identifiers where particular groups are barred historically from accessing these opportunities. And then the community oversight, which is a really important component because it means that the community gets to sit at the table and negotiate with really powerful players and who are in fact working with the tax dollars that you and I have invested in and worked hard for, right? Even if, we go out and buy a chocolate bar or you're a youth, it doesn't mean you have to file your taxes in that way. What we're talking about is anytime you buy something, you're contributing to tax dollars, and those dollars need to be able to reinvested back into the community. And so you have a say and should have a say at the table. So where is the community's interest? And those are the questions that are being asked at the oversight table. And then we're talking about the CBAs also include monitoring, evaluation, and enforcement mechanisms, which are ongoing monitoring and evaluation throughout the project lifecycle on a regular basis. And so having said that, this is an example of what CBA negotiations can look like in terms of development with community benefits and without community benefits. This was done, an image created by one of our partner organizations, Power Lab. And as you can see here, on one side, you have, or on my right, you have with the blue underline, how development works without community benefits. So you have the government that has a pool of these funds that have been collected, and developers are directly speaking to the government, and the government is speaking to these large contractors about the opportunity to build and gathering requests for proposals, otherwise known as RFPs. Then you also have unions at the government's door, knocking on it, trying to ensure that the jobs that are being provided are unionized jobs with due cause, because we want good quality jobs. But then where does the community stand? We have activists, community organizations, and neighborhood groups that are also in the conversation, but don't leverage the amount of power and authority in the same way that unions and developers may leverage that conversation or that authority and power. And so on the left with the yellow underline, that's where we include community benefits. And this is how we shift the power, where we group together the community organizations, activists, and neighborhood groups to be able to sit at the table as a mutual partner, as an equal partner, and negotiate with hold the government, developers, and unions to task on what the expectations of the community is and what the commitments are that are set out in them. And so that is the difference between negotiating with community benefits and without community benefits, and how many projects and the construction that's happened across the city has not necessarily been as fruitful for the local communities that have been living there. And so that's why when we talk about the community benefits projects that are currently underway, these are the 4 projects that have community benefits on them. So commitments attached to them, sorry, is what I meant to say. And so we have the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, the Finch West LRT, the Woodbine Casino expansion, and the West Park Healthcare Center. What I will draw your attention to is the purple purple line at the bottom, which indicates that 10% of all trade and craft working hours for apprentices and journey persons from historically disadvantaged and equity-seeking groups need to be committed in all of these community benefits projects. I am very proud to say that through the recent campaign with the City of Toronto, the TCBN was able to achieve a 10% commitment at the city level, and so that's been a great achievement that we were able to obtain last year. Was it last year, Manuela? No, we're talking about 2021, right? In 2021,
last year,
where that passed.
Yeah, I think last year.
Last year, as in 2020.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry about that. My memory was glitching. And so yes, this is a great achievement because it means that community benefits projects and large infrastructure projects across the city now that are mandated by the city now have to have this 10% expectation. And mind you, having said this, 10% is still very low, right? But it is a benchmark from which we can now build and further put pressure on for years to come to ensure that more underrepresented groups have access to these jobs and that there is a hiring expectation quota set out on the developers and the unions that are, so the developers that are hiring for these contracts, and particularly the contractors, but also the subcontractors. And you'll notice here also that over the span of the number of years, the amount of money, we're talking about 5 billion with the Eglinton Crosstown, we're talking about 1 billion with the Woodbine Casino, and I'm just going to move this over, excuse me. And the Finch West LRT, $2.5 billion being invested, and 1.2 billion at the West Park Healthcare Center. So this is a significant amount of money that's going into a lot of these, going into these projects. And then on top of that, commitments for local and social procurement, a number value attached to 6 million at Eglinton Crosstown. So when I talk about local and social procurement, these are small businesses in the areas having contracts. Because what happens is the reason social procurement and local and social procurement is so important is when these construction projects come up, traffic often becomes very difficult for local businesses in the area to navigate it. And so even though the property value at one point may be one thing, at one point, it eventually grows after the project is done. And so how is the community and the small businesses in the area, who are often people who live in the community, how are they benefiting from that, right? How are they benefiting from those contracts and the development when their customers are often, and their clients are often unable to access the space? So that needs to be wagered in. And so it's the responsibility of the contractors to be able to uphold that commitment. The other factor here that I'll draw your attention to is the community oversight, but also the neighborhood improvements that have happened. So here, I'll go to the Eglinton Crosstown, July 2015, the Crosslinks Transit Solutions committed to design, construct, and finance a 25-station, 8.25 billion LRT on Eglinton. So this is the number as of to date. The earlier number was the initial commitment. And then we have apprenticeships at 132,000 hours with the goal of 10%, professional, administrative, and technical jobs, 152 placements, and social procurement opportunities. Now, the other part I wanted to draw your attention to is the restoration of the Kodak building, which is a building that the local community really held close to it because it holds so much history in the area. And so along the Eglinton Crosstown. And so with the restoration of that building was pretty significant. And so they committed to be able to shift and move it so that they could basically provide retrofits to the building, and so that the building could remain as is. When we're talking about the Finch West LRT, once again, we've got the 10% commitment. We've also got supporting hiring of internationally trained professionals and at-risk youth. This is really important, especially when it comes to PAT jobs and service positions, because this means that internationally trained professionals who may not always have access to positions and opportunities in many of these construction projects through contractors, and I'll speak about what that makeup looks like and how you can have access to it, that they're able to be prioritized because they're coming with so much experience. Even in the program that I facilitate, I work with newcomers regularly. I should say at this point, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and once it starts to blink, I can definitely address that. And then we have social procurement, being able to maximize business and procurement opportunities, as well as neighborhood improvement. Here, they're looking at 32 meters setback along Finch and York Gate for community purposes. So initially, I think that they were going to build a storage facility there along the Finch West LRT. And that storage facility they could have located it anywhere along the LRT, but they chose the Jane and Finch area around York Gate Mall. The community mobilized to say, we don't want a storage facility taking up space that could be invested back into the community. How is the community benefiting from this? And so they've mobilized to take back the purposing of that space and say that they want to build a community center there. And so they've been very successful in holding Metrolinx back and Crosslinx Transit Solutions back, and when they're building the Finch West LRT to be able to ensure that that space goes to the community. So that's another very successful project. The Woodbine Casino is one that is quite near and dear to our hearts, and I'll explain why. The Rec Still Rising campaign really mobilized the community to be able to, in 2018, to be able to bring the community together and say, if there's a casino that's going to be in our neighborhood that's going to be to a detriment to our well-being, as with gambling addictions and various other issues that can arise, we want to be able to benefit from it somehow. And so the community in the area mobilized and gained a commitment for a $5 million childcare center. This is a really beautiful achievement because that means women in the local community who are the primary caregivers are now going to be able to access that childcare center and possibly also access jobs through the apprenticeship commitment, but also the professional administrative and technical commitment in being able to work on the project, but also afterwards access jobs at the casino and possibly drop off their children there. And then also there is a commitment for training by the City of Toronto for local childcare providers for them to be registered and be able to access the jobs that are being offered at the childcare center. So this is really great because it means that, as much as, the casino not being in the community is to a hindrance, that means the community is taking agency and are at the table, speaking to management and community leaders are at that table, deciding and directing what exactly happens in the space, which is going to be what happens in the space and what happens at the casino that's literally been dropped into their community. And then we have the West Park Healthcare Center in August 2018. Elliston Infrastructure Healthcare has been committed to design, build, and finance and maintain a $1.2 billion healthcare center. And so this project is currently underway, but it's being built by Elliston. Now, as I went through each of these projects, I had a question for folks in the space. What city in North America, so in Canada and the USA, do you think has the most number of cranes? Most number of construction cranes? What city in North America? Any answers? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute yourself.
Toronto.
Toronto, Joseph, thank you for that. Anybody else? I mean, we're talking about Toronto or Vancouver, New York, LA, all these major cities, right? I don't see the chat. If somebody could read what's in the chat, I see that there's somebody speaking in it, but it's not.
They wrote Toronto. We have Montreal has a lot of construction.
Karini says Toronto. Rostand said Montreal.
Okay.
New York, Zachariah said New York.
New York, that makes sense.
Shauna said Toronto.
Okay.
We have Afropolitan that says Calgary.
Calgary, okay. Thank you. So The answer is Toronto. It's a trick. There you go. And the reason, and so this is fascinating, right? When you have that many cranes located comparatively from across North America, major cities in the US, we have the most number of construction and cranes up, which means that we have prime opportunity to be able to access jobs here in the industry. And yet, for generations, we haven't had access to these unionized jobs. Exactly, Rokhaya's pensive thought. I was thinking the same thing. Why have we not had this opportunity? And so now we are at a point in time where we have a prime opportunity because older construction workers are retiring. They're leaving many job vacancies. New jobs are available because governments are investing in public infrastructure. Recently with COVID, we ran an inclusive recovery campaign through the TCBN, which said that I think 95 or $135 billion that was being committed by the provincial government into construction projects as a result of after being impacted by COVID, to be able to really inject money into the economy, that those projects need to be committed through community benefits agreements. And so that was a great effort and lobby. And many of these opportunities will be well-paid unionized jobs. And I hope that throughout the duration of today's session, you'll be able to hear from Terrence, who is a veteran tradesperson with the plumbers, and UA Local 46, who will be able to speak to the benefits in the trades. And so this is a great opportunity for you, for many of us, to be able to go into the trades. I mean, I've contemplated it. You know, with my background in nonprofit work, there are so many different avenues in which there can be crossover. So even if it means transferring your skills, pursuing an apprenticeship, if that's something that you want to do, or during COVID, if you've, been laid off, now is a great opportunity to be able to find that second career that can really sustain you. And so when we're talking about these opportunities and navigating the ecosystem that is the community benefits ecosystem, the companies that I had mentioned as we went through each of the community benefits projects, it's important to know how it is that they're involved in the process and how they function based on whether they're a construction company or a consortium. And so what I wanted to do was differentiate between a construction company, which is an individual company like Ellis Don, as opposed to One Gaming Toronto, which is a consortium, Crosslinks Transit Solutions and Mosaic, which are consortiums. And those are all groups of company that have come together and bid on these massive projects. And so here is an example of one consortium, the Mosaic Transit Group, that is currently building the Finch West LRT. What you can see here is that in the center of it, in terms of Mosaic Transit constructors and Mosaic Transit Partner Maintenance, are 5 companies: ACS, Acon, Dragados, and Dufferin. I can't see the text at the bottom, but these companies came together as the main transit partners to be able to bid on this project. And then you have various branches of these companies that take care of the transit partnership, so other aspects of transit partnership, contracting authority, which is Infrastructure Ontario and Metrolinx, but also you have banks and various lenders and underwriters that are connected. And I'll speak about why this is really significant. Then you have down here ARUP and also Data Center and various other companies that have been contracted for architecture and design support, and then other subcontractors. Now, the question to ask here is, what does this teach us? In terms of access to jobs on the PAT stream, but also in the trade stream, when you enter a project with consortiums, there is opportunity for employment with multiple employers and sponsors if you're pursuing your apprenticeship, but also for PAT jobs, for those pursuing professional, administrative, and technical jobs, we often tell them, whether you're in a company, then like Ellis Don, for example, which is one company, then you're able to access jobs on multiple locations that Ellis Don may be working on. But here, you have the opportunity to work with multiple companies and get your foot in the door in many spaces. And so if you're the type of person that likes that change, that likes that mobility to be able to maneuver and build your networks, there is an opportunity here to say, you know, I've worked on this project, and you may be hired by other employers that are working on the project, and be able to maneuver and navigate through the infrastructure. And if you come with a finance background, right now with our newcomer program and our job development program, we're seeing a lot of PAT people come through the pathway. And so those with a finance or legal background as international trained professionals are also drawing to these projects, because there are lenders, there are financiers, there are many financial agreements that need to be negotiated. And so being able to get your foot in the door and then work your way up through all of these companies has potential, whether it's a small contractor or a large contractor on the project. Do we have any questions about this, about the ecosystem? I know it can be rather overwhelming, but there is definitely potential to be gained here by seeing all of the different ways in which you can connect. I've even spoken to graphic designers, people who are interested in, like IT and various other capacities. It's endless, and so that's why when we say, when you're looking at the construction industry, don't just look at it as skill jobs, which is great, but also look at the PAT opportunity. And the other point I wanted to highlight here is, if you are a PAT person where you're looking to do training, for example, as a filmmaker or doing corporate advertising, right? It doesn't mean that you can't pursue a trade for over maybe 2 to 5 years and become a tradesperson, use those funds, and then be able to pursue other opportunities or other ventures in that same capacity, or be, community organizing, or be it, work within the non-profit sector and support or teach, right? There's so many different ways in which people have kind of evolved in these spaces. So we just wanted to draw your attention to that. And then the other point here is that, you can benefit from a diversity of roles within the consortium. There are different companies that come together to execute these publicly funded projects. And as I said earlier, subcontractors, contractors, financial investors, and design specialists, some of the many components that are at play here. And so this is another example of a smaller consortium. As you can see here, the Eglinton Crosstown sector structure involves Crosslinks Transit Solutions, which is ACS, ACON, Ellis, Dawn, and SNC Lavalin. And then they've got the construction contract segment, the interface agreement portion, and then the maintenance. So the construction of the project and then the maintenance of the project afterwards, once it's been built. And this is being managed, the government entities are Infrastructure Ontario once again, and Metrolinx, but you see that the focus is much more kind of linear, and it's not as expansive as the Mosaic Transit Group. But the benefits still apply. It's just going to look different in terms of the blueprint that you can navigate. So now we have a little bit of a video about the Eglinton Crosstown and how Community Benefits has benefited from it. I'm just going to play the video. Hopefully you can hear the sound.
My name is Ahmed Abdi.
My name is Renee Roy.
My name is Jonathan Hapta.
I'm the first person to get hired through the Community Benefits program with Metrolinx.
Projects such as Eglinton Crosstown, which is the largest transportation infrastructure project in Canada, as a way of transforming local communities.
United Way for decades has brought people together, but we always lacked the glue to make it stick and find tangible ways to get people good jobs in specific neighborhoods. And then pops in Metrolinx.
Community benefits usually includes jobs and apprenticeships and professional, administrative, and technical jobs. It also usually includes contracts and social procurement for local, social, and diverse businesses.
This is project and policy innovation at its best. You're building a $5.3 billion light rail transit in a way that's bringing community to the table, inviting them in from the beginning.
It's good for young people and then for newcomer people.
We have seen firsthand that community benefits really changes lives.
Giving me a chance to get a stable home. My truck is just a vehicle now. It's kind of my community now.
I was able to support my wife, my new family, and prepare for my kid. Apprenticeships like this are important because they give youth a different route, something productive, something that has the potential to make a lot of money and get a lot of transferable skills.
Not only a life changed, but an entire neighborhood transformed with jobs and dollars going back into that local economy.
The great lessons we've learned on Eglinton and the Community Benefits Program provides us with an excellent platform to roll these same benefits out on our other LRT programs, but also on our really big program, which is the Gueye expansion.
10 years from now, I want us to be able to look back and say, with the public infrastructure dollars we spent, we not only built a world-class piece of infrastructure, we are intentional about ensuring that those in the community who needed opportunity most actually shared in the benefits of that project.
It is the blueprint for us and for inclusive economic growth in this province and in this country.
Because in the end, our mission is to connect our communities, and we do that even better when there are more local benefits for those communities.
There you have it, the Eglinton Crosstown Project and Community Benefits. Our executive director, Rosemary Powell, was featured there. You saw her there with the red hair, and so Rosemary's been ED at TCBN for the past 3 years. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary at TCBN last year. Oh, sorry, yeah. But she's been ED for the last 3, and so it's been a great accomplishment to be able to work with Rosemary, who's been a formidable community leader in mobilizing TCBN and our labor and community partners. And we have one of our mentors, Ahmed Abdi of Carpenters Union, local. I'm slipping here, 24, the Carpenters Union. And so Ahmed is somebody who came through TCBN and the Community Benefits Projects and is now mentoring many other young people.
Local 27, Dash.
Sorry, 27. Thank you so much. The number slipped. Thank you. Is that the number? Somebody
Yes.
putting that in the
We
chat.
have a question on the chat.
Yes, are international students and temporary workers eligible to the community benefit program, or do newcomers need to be permanent residents? Okay, great question, Patricia.
We're going to answer.
Yeah, we're going to answer that, but it's that PR is definitely one of the requirements in order to be able to access unionized trades. But we can speak more about that in the other section. What I will say is that there are definitely maybe opportunities for PAT jobs in that capacity, but not necessarily trade jobs. So there may be opportunities in that regard through a different pathway. But international students, because it's a work permit, just to address that question, it's a study permit. And so being able to access jobs through potentially a work permit may be able to give you access if you obtain a work permit after completing your studies. I hope that helps, or that answers your question. So here, what we wanted to do is just highlight, when I spoke about PAT jobs and the diversity of PAT jobs on the consortiums, under the various consortiums or construction projects, this is a list of the administrative jobs that are available, the professional positions that are available, and also the technical positions that are available. And you see here how diverse it can be. You're welcome, Patricia. You can see here what a diversity of jobs and opportunities there are that you can really hone into through the PAT stream. And then you have obviously the trade stream that would involve an apprenticeship and the various other opportunities that come through, whether a compulsory trade or a voluntary trade. Now, speaking to the employment pathway, this is the model that TCBN follows. This is our community benefits employment services pathway. So what it starts with is, as you can see, I want to draw your attention to the governance and pathway monitoring and partner management throughout the project, throughout the employment pathway when a participant enters TCBN to the point of remaining within the organization. And it's really cyclical in terms of even finding employment or going into a union or CBA project. There is constant contact with TCBN, where there are ongoing supports as you grow or perhaps pursue journey person status or continue to look for jobs or want to be able to expand and give back and volunteer. But what I will say here is, on top of, as the governance here is here at the bottom, the governance of the pathway, where we're monitoring the supports necessary for participants. Participant follow-up and retention is another critical component that is ongoing throughout the pathway lifecycle. And from the point of here on the left, community engagement, where we do outreach opportunities like this to inform community members, thanks to our great partners at Afropolitan and your efforts being able to create the space, to intake and guidance, and intake and guiding or coaching through staff, where we conduct program intake. And my wonderful colleague Manuela will be speaking about the different programs and entrance requirements for the various programs, to assessing and referral. So whether it's referring into our programs or referring out to gain other support, so that candidates are prepared to be able to come back and pursue an apprenticeship or an employment opportunity at a later date. And then we move into case management and support while career exploration is underway, essential skills training, apprenticeship and career readiness, and job skills training is underway. And so you can see here that participant follow-up, case management and support is an ongoing component to be able to support at this phase as participants go through our various programs. And then afterwards, after completing the programs, and in a very kind of parallel way that it intersects with our programming, because they don't really operate in isolation. We're very much connected in the way that we support participants. Mentoring, job matching, and placement with our industry liaison is another critical component. And the mentoring program is, our golden jewel. It's the most beautiful kind of experience to witness, where you have young mentors coming together or mentees who are interested in apprenticeships, partnering with senior tradespeople and master journey people. And I know Rokhaya has seen this firsthand, and how powerful it can be to be in those sessions and build that relationship with the mentor. And then the hope is to prepare individuals who are ready, that are job ready for apprenticeship and also employment opportunities. And so on that note, I would like to hand it over to Manuela to discuss the programs.
Thank you, Dashi. I know everybody now is curious, how can you access the getting the trades? And after Dashi do this wonderful presentation, I bet lots of people want to go in the pathway. I just want to introduce you guys to TCBN programs. And basically we have 3 programs in TCBN. One is the newcomer program pathway. The other one is our apprenticeship program, that is the quick starting construction. And our third program is Next Gen Builder Mentorship Program. And I will go with each one and give you more details where the interest requirements and for you guys to see yourself in each program. Dash, would you like to change for me? Okay, the newcomer pathway into construction, it's a program that is support. This program assisting immigrants and refugees to learn about and access jobs opportunities in construction included. What it means, we have 2 streams in the program. You come to the newcomer program, you're new to the country, and you have 2 streams. One is the professional, administrative, and technical positions that we require that you have a CLB, that is Canadian Language Benchmark 7, to access the professional, administrative, technical jobs, and the construction trades that you need a lower. I like this. Who's doing this? Is Dashi?
I thought I could assist.
Yeah.
Because there's so much information, so some sort of direction is helpful. Continue, Manuel. Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to distract.
No, I love it.
I was trying
I'm
to be
like,
a good team player.
That's
You know, in
magical.
construction, we support each other. Continue.
As I was saying, the construction trade, you need a lower level of English and you need a level 5, okay? For you to be accepting this program, you needed to be a PR, a refugee claim, a conventional refugee with 1 year of working permit, and a Canadian citizen less than 5 years. How these programs work? You come to the program, and Darshika is our wonderful program coordinator. She's going to sit with you and draw you an individualized plan for you to see what your needs and where you want to go and achieve. What are your goals? And based on this information, she will build for you a pathway into the construction. Before you guys ask, do I need to have experience to come to the program? No, you don't need to have experience in construction. But if I have experience, can I still come to the program? Yes, we advise you. As you are a newcomer, you need to build your network, your relationship. You need to know how the field, the construction fields work here in Canada, and what you need, what the tools you need to achieve your goals. Then we really recommend, if you have experience or if you not have, come to the newcomer program. Okay, look for Dash. The next program is the Quick Start. That's my baby. I'm the coordinator for the Quick Start. Quick Start is as the name says, it's a quick program. You come in 5 weeks, you take your certifications, you had a little bit of hands-on experience, and you going to be directed to the job coach to place you in a union or in the job site. The main goal of the program everybody comes to the program, everybody gets out with the 8 certifications. We have here the certifications: women's workplace violence and harassment, confined space, working at heights, elevator platforms, and PPE, hands, tools, and for safety 4 steps to safety. What does it mean? It means if you going to be sent to the job site, we want you to take care of yourself. We want you to know where you're going and what are the risks, and you have your safety training certifications. Also, what we do in the program, we teach you a little bit, refresh your mind about math for construction. Why? Because when you come to register for a union, the most of the time, you're going to do a test, aptitude test. And in this test, there is a lot of math and a lot of problem solving. And we give you all the tools for you to go through this test, go through the aptitude test, okay? Then you come to Quick Start, you get out of Quick Start, and you almost ready to go for the construction job and do your registration in the union. Who are eligible to come? You just needed to be 18 plus, lots of desire to have a career in construction, and serious, being an open mind to learn every day something new. Our next program is, wait for Dashi to change it for me, the Next Gen Build a mentoring program. This is beautiful because you already came, did your pre-apprenticeship, then after the pre-apprenticeship, you go register for the union and start your apprenticeship. a first year of apprentice. And what Next Gen does? Next Gen, it's a community label industrial mentoring partnership program delivered on Zoom. And the people that comes to Next Gen, who are those people comes? The people that it's already finished the pre-apprenticeship program and sign up in the union and going to start the first year. And also people that it's coming already with lots of knowledge, already working in construction, but don't know the next step. They are stuck and they need to know the next step. Then you come to Next Gen, you attend to 16 sessions every Wednesday from 6 to 7:30. And after the 16 sections, you're going to be paired up with a mentor. This person is going to help you through your first year of apprenticeship. And the requirements to get in the program, it's again 18 years old, desire to have a career in construction, want a support of a mentor. You need to have the desire, I want someone beside me to support me during my first year of apprenticeship, and be in the first year of apprenticeship program. That's how we build a workforce in construction and help people, support people to get the requirements to send you to a job site through our programs. Any questions and answers, or any questions, the answer comes for us, and Josh. We have in the chat 6, what it is.
This is amazing.
Someone said method tutoring is good. It's amazing and serious. We have people that went, I just have one that went to Quick Start right now, and he got it Liuna 506. And as soon as he did the math test, he phoned me and said, oh my God, I couldn't go through the math test without Quick Start. And I was like, oh, this is so great to know. Yes, and math is important. When you get the math class, please pay attention. And that's your halfway through the union that you want to go.
I think the other part, just to add to that, Manuela, is the requirements for math in terms of the apprenticeship differ depending on the trade. So sometimes there's a minimum grade 12, math, physics, calculus, depending on what the expectation is. And then sometimes it can be a minimum grade 10. And so what's helpful is to go to the ministry website and do your research in terms of the different apprenticeships that are available. And we also have a lot of resources within our network once you're within the program. But yeah, if you're interested, we highly encourage you to get in contact with us just to give you the information while people are thinking of questions. Email and phone number, S. Nicole, so this is Shireen, is our wonderful program support staff and organizational wizard. Her email is snicole@communitybenefits.com. I'll put that in the chat.
And also, Darcy, I wanted to add that it's we have online a booklet that we can send to you guys with all the entrance requirements. This is really important for you guys to start to educate yourself. When you're thinking about to join the construction field, you go through the booklet, and in the booklet there is all the entrance requirements for all the trades.
Yeah, it's the Ontario Construction Secretariat. That's a great resource. Rokhaya, we can send it over. Go ahead, Manuela. Sorry.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I would love to get it so I could. I'll be able to send it to everyone who's going from the first session to today.
Our pleasure to send it to you guys. No problem. And no, I said it's the booklet. Okay, what's the question?
I have a question. How long is the newcomer pathway?
Is the
newcomer I forgot to say. Gosh, let me say, because newcomer pathway, you can be in the program for 6 months. But during the 6 months, you work together with Dashika to do your pathway. Doesn't mean you need to be in the program for the 6 months. Sometimes people get in the program in 3 months, they are in the jobs, they going to the jobs and be hired. and depend on your way and what kind of skills do you want to access. Am I good, Dash, or do you want to?
No, that's great. Thank you, Manuela. And on top of that, this is a general program information session. Once you reach out to us, when we have our next information session for the particular program, it'll be super helpful for you to attend, because then we can go into more detail about the newcomer program, such as Manuel has mentioned, 8 weeks of individual training for newcomer participants on career exploration in the PAT and the trades. Then we have about 6 Build Force online learning workshops, where you can get everything from project management workshops, and what was the other one? I'm sending them out right now. Construction law, project management, first level supervisor training, industry ethics, and these are all paid. These workshops are free, and they're usually about $300 to $400 each. And this is Build Force Canada is a nationally recognized organization, a part of the Canadian Construction Authority and the Gold Seal program. So we offer these workshops for free. So there are many financial incentives and ongoing supports with our job developer. As Manuela mentioned, you may be at a point where each individual participant is unique, and we respect that uniqueness. And I think as newcomers, oftentimes our journey, those who, my parents, when they migrated here, were international trained professionals, and we don't often have agency and access and support in dictating what our journey looks like. And so the aim of this program is to be able to direct that journey and to be able to regain that power over our own employment pathway, for lack of a better word, right? So yeah, I recognize the time is 7:30. But thank you so much for your time. And Manuela, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to add that all our programs are free. You come to the program and our goal is to support you, to lift you, to push you to the construction field. Okay? And thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Likewise. Yes, thank you.
It was amazing.
Great. We are
You
going
have to
to have
leave,
to bid
but-
you farewell. Yes.
Yes.
But enjoy the rest of your evening. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Rokhaya has our email address and everything.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Merci. Thank you so much.
Take
It was a
care.
pleasure.
You're welcome.
Heartfelt thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao. So thank you so much, everyone, for an amazing presentation from the Toronto Community Benefits. So now we're going to pass on to the next step. So first and foremost, I would like to welcome everyone also who just joined. Some of you joined in the middle of the presentation of Toronto Community Benefit Network. So welcome. So today we'll be starting we're going to talk about the fireside chat on starting a career. So bear with me, I'm going to present our next guest. I am so excited to have every single one of them here today. So bear with me. So I'm going to start with Joseph. And we have Joseph as Amanka. Oh, I need to wear my glasses. I am so sorry. I just realized.
You don't have an excuse.
I know it. Co-founder and former chairperson of Camara Skills Training Network, trained as a mechanical engineer research technologist at the Imperial College University of London in England. Career focus on the economic industrial sectors of manufacturing and processing, transportation, and technical teaching at academics institutions. Worked as subject matter expert with the United Nations, UNDO, part of the advisory committee of Seneca College for the mechanical engineering faculty. That's impressive. Next, also, I have Stacey Ann Berry, innovative entrepreneur, self-published author, and workshop facilitator. Serves as the founder and president of Bestseller Group Inc., passionate about community development, advocacy, and capacity building, serve as a director for the Toronto Board of Health, interned as federal policy assistant for local initiative support corporations in Washington, DC, worked for the Legislative Assembly of Ontario and the House of Commons of Canada. And it goes on and on. Thank you. Another impressive one too. And we have also Terrence Haynes. He is the he's a US immigrant and UA elected as inside guard from local 46 plumber, former chair of Stewards Committee, elected as inside guard and former member of the bylaws committee, has worked on several construction projects such as Bridgepoint Hospital and Humber River Regional Hospital, very involved in diversity issue with his union. Thank you and welcome. So I'm extremely excited today. Before we even dig deep into the fireside chat that is really step to create a successful candidate profile, I wanted to just ask Terrence, for instance, can you just tell us a bit about your journey?
My journey was quite unusual. I got into plumbing wanting to do it for 6 months. I said I'll do it for 6 months, and 26 years later, it's the longest 6 months of my life. When I got in, the gentleman that I worked with, they just explained to me that this was a really good opportunity and that if I could just give it a year, I was only 19 years old. He said, just give it a year and just see where it takes you. And he said, there's a lot of people that would die for your position. So just, just stick it out. And when I finally became an apprentice and I went to school, one of my first teachers, he said, basically the idea of being a journey person is your ability to travel. And he said that you will be able to work in 50 states and in Canada. And it was just an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. And he said, listen, it's a big world out there. See it. Don't get stuck in New York and just, to this one local, just go chase it. And I just happened to start dating someone that lived in Toronto. And it was always on the table. It was a city that I loved. I felt that it was New York light. And it really wasn't, a culture shock for me. It was, so when I moved out here, as a, older father, and it was a great place to raise my children. And I just took advantage of it. And it gave me an opportunity to start over when I got into this local, because I looked at what was happening and, I would go to their meetings and listen to their executives. And I really didn't feel overwhelmed by their intelligence or anything that they brought to the table. And I said, I can compete with everyone in this room. And then from that point on, it was just like, okay, let's go. I was just like, I'm just going to be great and I'm going to outwork them. And I'm just going to, even when, they did things to slow me down, it was just like, okay, I took my loss and I said, okay, I'll come back in 3 years and I'll learn from my mistakes and, and that's it. I mean, I would definitely say, earlier in my career, I definitely pushed back on being like the Black guy in the union. And I said, you know what, I just wanted to like kind of stay away from it. And then it wasn't until recently that I understood that being Black might have gotten me into a room, but being the plumber that I am kept me in that room. So it was just like, well, you're in this room because of what you do, not who you are. So it was just like, okay, I can be a Black plumber, but the plumber is the thing that's going to keep me in this room. And that's what I'm here for, because that's, I'm here to represent plumbing and let people know that there's plumbers that look like me, so that's really it.
Wow, 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 very powerful. I really love how you said 6 months, you needed to join 6 months and it took you 26 years. That's a long time. That's impressive. And also what I really enjoyed, what you said is about being Black got you into the room, but being a plumber kept you in there. And it's very powerful. And it really resonates because you need to really work hard and your work will speak for itself. And as a result, people will know you for your talent and will keep you there. And that will bring you in a long way. So you need to keep on working and sharpening yourself and being better at what you do.
Exactly.
Thank you. So next we're going to have Stacey Ann Berry, if you could please. Thank you, Terrence. Stacey Ann Berry, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us about your journey.
Okay, my journey, good evening, everyone. My journey is unconventional. I wanted to be a lawyer. And in wanting to be a lawyer, I volunteered for a lawyer who ran for office. And when I got my first degree, I ended up working for this person. And so I'm somebody who believes in creating your own opportunity. And when doors of opportunities open, never walk through doors of opportunity alone. And you have to have a work ethic where there's no job or task beneath you. So I was someone, when I was volunteering at a law office, I would go to all my former boss's colleagues at the time and ask, what do you need? Can I photocopy anything? Do you need coffee? Just making myself useful, because I was only 19 at the time, had no legal experience, just started college, and she was a bit hesitant to bring me in because I wasn't experienced. But when she saw my work ethic, she started trusting me with more responsibility as time went on. I would stay late, I would come early, I would do these things until next you know, I'm in the courts, taking notes, filing documents, working on civil litigation cases, family law, wills and estate, real estate. But as time went on, I would get more responsibility, because you have to have consistent work ethic. You have to let people know that they can trust you. You have to let them know you're reliable. So transitioning from in the legal world to the political world, those type of characteristics are magnified times 10, because now you're making decisions, or you're part of a decision-making process that impacts the lives of millions of people. So it's huge responsibility. And I'm also a firm believer in going where you do not see people who look like you. So we're going in these spaces of the courthouse, but where do we see people who look like us? It's typically, unfortunately, on the other side of the bench. And there's some assumptions that need to be changed with that. And what does it mean to be a politician or a judge or a lawyer, right? So we can go into spaces and disrupt these stereotypes that are held about our community. So I had the opportunity to be mentored young enough to learn these lessons, which helped to shape where I am today. So today I do government relations, which means I help to craft proposals and ideas to solve solutions to problems in our community. And even in that sector, I am a lobbyist. And what that means is, you know, I help to advocate for policies and issues. And again, there isn't enough women, and there isn't enough definitely Black people doing what I do. So we have to go through these doors and bring others along.
Wow, 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 a mouthful. I know Stacey Ann, she's one of my girls, so she had to be here today, because it's with the fireside chat, it speaks volume. When we're talking about steps to create a successful candidate profile, we need Stacey Ann. She did give some hints already, talking about being consistent, having a work ethic, being reliable. So these are some of the competencies or skills that you need in order to be successful. So we're going to move next to Joseph Armanca. So please tell us about your journey. And
my journey. Well, I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, in the 50s. Yeah, I think I'm going to establish a presidency. I'm old. Okay, I grew up in London, England. I came from a single family household. My mother was the head of the household. I had 4 sisters. And so what you are doing right here, Rokhaya, is that women are a focus that drive the Black community. And I'm so happy that you're doing this. And the skilled trades that I've been focused on is something that we lack participation tremendously. So back to my story. I did my education in London. It was basically through the academic stream of education, math, science, and everything else. But I didn't have any guidance in the essence of understanding what I needed to do afterwards. And so it came to pass that I had to choose, because I did my O-levels and A-levels, but I couldn't afford to go to university. And it was a friend of mine, a Turkish friend of mine, who had a little clipping. It must have been about 3/4 of an inch square. And it was Imperial College, University of London, looking for junior technicians. You had to have equivalency to go to university to be part of the apprenticeship system. So I applied. Lo and behold, I got accepted. I did not know that there were over 5,000 applicants for those positions. And so I did the mechanical engineering stream. You had two streams, mechanical or electrical. I didn't take electrical because my brother used to work on radio and television, and I saw him got a shock one day, and I said, no, I'd rather see what's going to hit me. So I deferred away from electrical. Now, you've got to understand, I had no understanding of engineering at all. So when I first started, I was green, but I had the inquisitiveness of understanding, especially with physics, and my educational background assisted me quite a bit. And so during the time I finished my apprenticeship, I actually did it, and it was supposed to be 5 years, but I finished in 4 because I did the accelerated program because of what I knew. And so I ended up getting a job at the 4th year of my apprenticeship. But I wanted to, one thing Imperial College used to do is that any of the graduates from their training program will have to leave Imperial College. And so I left. And my journey then took me to Ford Motor Company. So if you understand, I was coming from an academic institution where we did research work on all mechanical side of things. And during the apprenticeship, we had to go to 6 different departments in the faculty, and 6 months in each one. And then in the 3rd year, you choose which one to specialize in. And so I actually learned a lot when it comes to any area of engineering, electrical. We were well trained. And the shock that came from that is when I went into industry. I realized that what you knew, you can't use. Industry at what you call demarcation. You cannot do anything unless another person does it. And that was that's the first time I faced the union area side of things. Well, after that, I actually left and came to Canada, ended up in Manitoba. Yes, Manitoba. I got there August the 29th. It was beautiful. No mosquitoes, no nothing. October 31st, the snow came down. I didn't see grass for 6 months. Minus 31 degree weather. So the journey was there, and I was working for a company that was a machining company. When I emigrated, first time I tried to emigrate, they said I was too young. So I finished my program young. I tried to go to Loughborough colleges to get my degree as an instructor, okay, and as a teacher. And they told me I was too young to come back in 5 years. So that's when I decided, you know what, let me get out of this country and go to Canada, because that's one place I always wanted to go. So I came to Canada. Well, I actually applied for immigration. They said I was too young. The second time they said it was a world recession. And the third time I applied, and I applied for 2 jobs, and all 3 came through. So I picked the one in Manitoba because this is one place that my mother wanted us to go years ago. Let me just go back a bit. I lost my mother at the age of 16. So at that time, I was actually an orphan, just want to let you know. So that's before I started my training. So when I started my training, I'd lost my mother. So when I started working in these fields, in the engineering fields, all from Manitoba to Ontario, I worked at Ontario Science Center, I worked for Bombardier, Go Transit. So I've worked in these fields in management areas and also the technical areas, and being the only Black person. And this is what drove me to start Kamara Skills Training Network. Because to us in the community, in the Black community, there are certain trades that are invisible to us, that we don't even see and we don't partake. And I've been trying to put this across to our community for years, but it's actually been on deaf ears. And it's just now that what I've been saying for years is starting to show itself. If you look now, the governments of Canada, also Ontario as well, they're promoting manufacturing skills, okay? Advanced manufacturing. There's a shortage of advanced manufacturing. This has been going on for over 20 years. I knew this was coming. And so, but do we participate? Do Black youth participate in this? And this is the problem, we don't. And these are wealth creation areas. When you understand the industries in the world that actually partake to keep the world going, there are actually 4 different industrial sectors in the world. The first one is agriculture and forestry. That includes mining and everything, natural resources. The second one is manufacturing and processing. The third one, which is the tertiary sector, is actually the service industry. And the fourth one is banking. And do you know what the fifth one is now, this industry? Education. Okay. The universities are an industry. And so one of the biggest things I've found during my journey is that Black people don't create wealth. They're not in the sectors that create wealth. Understanding that if you look at Korea, China, all the countries that you see that have established themselves to create wealth and improve their lives have gone into manufacturing. And the irony of it all is that all the raw materials that they use come from Africa. The value added that's needed to produce these components come from Africa. But this has been an issue, but understanding the skills that are required in these is something that's monumental to people to understand. And a lot of our Black youth, male and female, have been excluded from these, primarily because they're not aware of it. And also they're not aware of the educational requirements to get into these skills. And another thing is the stigma. The stigma in the Black community because somebody works with their hands. And I'm not understanding that this is the structure that keeps all the comforts of your house around you. Understanding that the car you drive, if it wasn't for the mechanic there, you could not afford to fix it. And understanding that a mechanic now is actually like a surgeon. He has to know electronics. He has to know the heartbeat. The car is like a human body. Trying to put an emphasis on people to let them understand. And you find a lot of parents steer their children away from the skilled trades. I don't understand why. Because as Terrence was speaking, because Terrence is the plumber. All of a sudden, you have a problem in your house and you call a plumber. The plumber says to you, well, before I come out, there's $300. What do you mean? I said, well, you want your plug to be fixed and that's it. They don't understand the value or understanding the requirements. And so when I formed Kamara Skills Training Network, I decided, we have to inform the Black community in Ontario here to understand what other areas are available. The invisible, I call it the invisible skilled trades. They are invisible to the community. They don't understand. Even the construction trades are actually influenced by the manufacturing. All the equipment you use, all the tools you used, the pipes for plumbing, the wires, the electrical, it's all manufactured. And that part is being lost in the Black community, and understanding that we need to play our part. But the thing is, it's extremely hard to get in there. So understanding that, I try to promote this Kamara skill training to look at those invisible skills that the community does not see. We applied for nonprofit status. We actually got it right off the bat, because the CRA realized that there was something that was missing. But the problem was trying to sell this to the community. And another irony was trying to find Black tradespeople that were in those fields to come and assist and help the youth, spread the word to the youth, understand that the youth need their guidance and knowing what it is available. And so because of that frustration, I decided to move my focus away from Canada, excuse me, and focus on Africa. And I was part of the United Nations to assess the technical, it's called TVET, Technical Vocational Education and Training, through United Nations under UNIDO. And basically, I was asked to go to Liberia to assess the training schools they had over there. And believe me, when I got there, I was shocked, because the same premise of the community not understanding what the skilled trades were and what the education component is was also there. And so this is where we are today. And this is basically why when I was approached to be part of this, I said, you know what, I want to see what these young ladies are doing, because it's something that is much needed. Even though it's a construction, I'm far away from construction. So, and I'm retired, by the way. So I thought, let me see what they're doing, because I do believe, I guess, as having women as my role models as a young person, to understand that women are the key. Okay, and because we know that when we try to get the young men into these skilled trades, they're not interested, you know. And when I used to teach at Ryerson in the manufacturing side of things, we used to find the women engineers made the best engineers. And normally people say, why do you say that? Because women listen. They listen and they ask questions. We have young men that are in engineering that just jump straight into the problem and they don't know what it is they're doing. You know, and part of engineering is being able to listen what the problem is, understand what it is, and then deduce a result to it. And a lot of engineers don't do that. And so I'm very thankful to be here. So I'm available to answer any questions if you deem fit. And again, Rokhaya, thank you very much for asking me here.
Oh, no, thank you, Joseph. This has been amazing. There are so much information here, and you do bring a lot of value for sure. And also so sorry for your loss. But as you said, and it's one of the obstacles, there's a myth when it comes to skilled trade, people don't see it as one of the doctors, one of the teachers, one of the managers, or working at the bank. Whereas it's something that is needed now. It cannot be replaced by any robot. And the reason why we're doing this is also to bring awareness amongst people to know that it is here. And just last year, the government had invested again $2.5 billion into the industry in construction. And hence the reason why we're here today to talk about this. And I wanted to ask Stacey Ann, when it comes to what skills that does one need, especially in networking, so that they could be successful as a candidate. And Joseph, thank you.
So, I mean, with networking, it's a very essential skill, whether you're in construction or in my sector, you know, we have to build relationships with the right type of people, right? To get in an industry, you not only need mentors, but you need what's called a sponsor. A sponsor is somebody who will open a door that you cannot open. They will vouch for you. They'll be able to say, you know what, hire this person because I know them, I've seen their work ethic. So it's really important that you're intentional about the type of events that you go to. This is a great start, this type of event. You know, reach out to Terrence and reach out to Joseph. They're in the sector, they have knowledge, find out, you know, what you can learn from them and do an informational interview. So when I was a teenager, I had a career that I wanted to do. I would interview the person. I interviewed teachers because I wanted to be a teacher. I interviewed principals because I thought I'd be a principal. And of course, I interviewed a lot of lawyers because I wanted to know, what can I do now to prepare as a student? What kind of skills do I need to do well in the legal field? What kind of study habits do I need to develop to do well in law school, right? So you have to really gather your own information and the right information and study your sector and build relationships with key people that could be your mentor, that could be your sponsor, so that you can progress in your career, advance in your career, and you really have to have a mindset to see opportunities that others cannot see. And so for me, like, networking is everything, because we are as strong as our relationships. I'm a big believer in community and community building and supporting your community. We also have to understand what it means to lift as we climb. So even when I was an undergraduate student, I was a part of a nonprofit that supported Black women by providing mentorship and scholarships to help them pay for their degrees. And a lot of these girls went on to law school and became lawyers. They got PhDs, all that good stuff. But even though we too had to pay for our tuition and we're working multiple jobs, we were lifting as we climb, right? So always think about how you can help others on your journey, because when you get to where you want to be, those same people will remember you. They will be in your network, because you never know who can help you. So networking for me is something that you want to do consistently, ongoing, and it shouldn't be a race just to collect business cards and to learn about all these people. Like, you want to build good, authentic relationships. And when you network, you know, follow up with people that you interview, show some gratitude. And so, you know, just saying thank you, and then keep people updated. So those of you who are in school, build those key relationships with your professors or your teachers, because as you move on, you're going to need letters of reference. You're going to need, you know, recommendation letters as you progress and you want to upskill into different aspects of construction. And when I was in university, I'm one of like 400 students in my first year. one of 200 students in my second year, but I made sure to consistently build relationships with my professors. So when it came time to apply for grad school, they would remember me, and it wasn't a struggle to get reference letters. And I have classmates who just couldn't get those reference letters because they didn't spend the time to build relationships with their professors. So that's, you know, some tips I would share. Hopefully it's helpful.
Oh, it is very helpful. Thank you so much. Because when it comes to networking, as you mentioned, you do need sponsors and mentors. You also, I'm just going to summarize, you need to be prepared. You need to prepare yourself to be successful, right? So, and what I really loved is the fact that you set your mind to, let's say you wanted to be a teacher or not a lawyer, you went and interviewed the lawyers so that at least you have all the list of things that you need to be ready so that you'll be successful. And what I really love is to lift as we climb. A lot of people have tendency of forgetting that when you're going up, it's always good to also bring other people who looks like you so that they could also continue, because I'm sure when you were going there, you had somebody that sponsored you, somebody who mentored you. So remember also to look back and bring somebody in front. So it's just really, really good. No, really amazing, amazing tips, especially also building good, authentic relationship, because you're not there to consistently racing to get business card, but mainly building those relationships. So thank you, thank you. So for Terrence, just wanted to ask you, when it comes to you want to be a plumber, what are the requirements? What are certificates you need, or what do you need to do? Where do you start?
First, you need your grade 12. So basic math and English and science. And that's what my goal with CCBN is. I don't want anyone to believe that construction is a fallback. You know, I don't want them to think that it's for people that didn't do well in school. And, you know, what I want to go forward, I want to go after that valedictorian. I want to go after that person that's about to graduate high school, that got up every day, went to school, did everything right, and really doesn't know the path he or she wants, but just to reach out to them and tell them that we need and want people like you, you know? And it's just like, okay, you know what? It's one thing not to be a burden, but just to have that sense of self. You know, you start this program and you end this program without any debt. You know, from the day that the first day that you work to the last day that you work through your apprenticeship, you're just making money. You're making money, and you're you know, you're getting knowledge. And what I try to tell people is that, especially getting in young, when they get in young, I tell them, don't even think about what you make. I said, getting in young, think about what you make on the back end. Think how much your pension will be when you start at 20 years old and you retire at 60. I said, my goal, you know, I said, I came to this country kind of late, and I did get into the union right away. But I said, right now, my goal is to retire with $4,000 from my union pension. And I said, but if you got in at 19 years old and you retire at 60, you're looking at $6,000. You're looking at being 60 years old, getting $6,000 a month to stay home from money that you earn. That's money that's protected. And that's the goal. That should be your goal, not your start, but your finish. You know, and it's just like being a union worker, I don't have to worry about, you know, being a burden on my family when my time comes to pass away. You know, I know that the money is there from the, you know, what I've put into my union. You know, I have my funeral benefits. I have so many benefits, you know, and it's just like, people don't think about that. You know, I hate when I see online and it's just like, you know, you see GoFundMe for someone to, you know, have a funeral. And it's just like, this is a grown man. It's like, why are we having to go, you know, what were they doing? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, okay, you know what? Listen, I can honestly say I stepped into it, as they say. You know, I definitely got lucky when it came to construction and being a union worker. But, you know, I had a meeting the other day, and I tell people, the money is great. But I said, you can make money anywhere, but it's my time. You know, I make really good money. And right now I work 4 days a week. And I said,
that's true. The plumbers do.
I work 4 9s. I work 36 hours a week, you know, and some people say that I have a long weekend. And I tell people I have a weekend. I said, everyone else is confused that the weekend starts at 5 o'clock on Friday, but Friday is the weekend. And I enjoy my Fridays. I enjoy my Saturdays. I enjoy my Sundays, you know, and I work hard Monday to Thursday. And, you know, and I tell people all the time, I said, I have friends that are plumbers in New York City and they make $10 an hour more than me. And I said, that's fine, you know? And I said, but what I do, I said, every other month, I call them on a Friday and I say hello. And I say, what are you doing? And I said, you know what I'm doing. It's not about what I'm doing. It's what I'm not doing. I'm not working right now. You enjoy the rest of your work day.
Love it.
You
love
know?
it. So I really enjoyed when you said having the end in mind, making sure that you have first, you're thinking about what you're going to end up at the end. So having $4,000 a month or $6,000 a month when you retire is key. So you're working steps towards your plan at the end where you're going to be. So which is really amazing. Yes, and what I've heard when I was joining the Carpenters Union, I heard that plumbers work 4 days a week. I was like, oh my gosh, this would be nice if we could get that, because you work 10 hours or 9 hours.
It's lovely.
4 days, and then you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's impressive. And usually when the apprenticeship, you said they need science, English, math, basic English, basic math. The science would be like maybe chemistry or physics.
Yeah, grade 12.
Grade 12, okay, great. Yeah. Perfect, because we do have quite a few young people as well here that want to know, just in case they want to select one of the trades. So when it comes to, thank you, parents. When it comes to obstacles, I know, Joseph, you mentioned it. You mentioned how Black youth are not, they're not in the trade. They don't know what's going on. What do you think we should do in order to have them start joining? Because it's never too late right now.
Well, I've been trying this for 25 years, so it's been extremely difficult. One of the things we find is that the parents defer them away from the trades, because the belief is that it's only people who fail go into the trades, and this is not the case. And as Terence was saying, that education is important, and this is one of the things we try to emphasize at Camara Skills, because I actually found this out by myself. Understanding the levels of the school system in Canada, and then understanding that a lot of our kids are actually falling through the cracks because parents don't know what education is going on in there. We started, instigated a program it was called SEAM. Basically, was to address the lack of participation of young Black youth and children into the sciences, STEM as they call it. The word STEM is something you've got to be careful of, because it's only maths and science. It's just a word that's used so people are not afraid of the so-called subject matter. And understanding that you have to have the education in anything. If you concentrate on the education, I know it's not going to, I know as I'm saying this, it may sound like I'm saying it's easy. It's not easy, especially if you don't have the support at home to understand a lot of these subject matters. And also the school system is set up in such a way that it doesn't enhance anybody to learn unless they find some extremely good teachers, And when I found out, let's go back 3 years ago, I realized that there are actually 4 levels of education in the school system. This is something people need to know. There are 4 levels at that time. I think they've changed it now because they've got rid of the EP program and the academic and applied. When I found out, because I was only aware that was applied and academic, and then we found out that that was locally developed. Okay, that was the EP program. When I saw it as EP, it said exceptional program. Wow, this is good. This must be for those really high achieving children, right? And I realized it wasn't. It was ones that couldn't handle the applied portion. And I started to say, so what happens when these young people leave school? And then you start to realize that this is where the problems were. Because I used to do a lot of work with the Youth Detention Center in SLAPS and also at Rokhaya Military Center. And in that center, the time I was there, 90% of the youth in there were Black in the Youth Detention Center. 90%. 90%. 90%. And now they're, because the news got out and all of a sudden they tried to defer them because a lot of the youth, not because of fault that they're wrong, but the frustration of not being, of failing in school and not taking the thing serious enough to them to give them options after they finish school is an issue. And so it's one thing that I really want you to encourage as in your organization is to find out what's happening in the schools and what support do these young people have in understanding that the problems that they're facing, especially with maths and science, because some of the teachers don't even have the capacity to teach the subject matter properly. So where do they go? If the parents don't understand the subject matter, frustration starts in. And we found out that a lot of the young children up to grade 7, they used to be doing extremely well in school, extremely well. And straight after grade 7, when they get into middle school, then problems start. And that's where a lot of them start dropping it and don't want to, because the explanation of the subject matter becomes a problem. And so these are the obstacles that you're going to find, especially to start in the skill trades. But the person has to understand what is it in the skill trades? What is the skill trades? What is it that I don't know that is not being portrayed to me even by my parents or my community? Understanding that if you were to stand in a room, the skill trade is all around you. Everything you see is the partition to the skill trade. And by that, you could do your own investigation. But the skill trades is not for somebody who fails in school. Mm-hmm. Just to tell you, it's not for somebody who fails in school. Because if you have that mindset that everybody feels, all the buildings you see around you, all the transportation you drive on, everything will be breaking down because they're saying it's people who are literate that are doing these things. That's not the case, and this is the message that has to be sent out to a lot of young people who want to go into the trades to understand this is not for you if you failed in school. It's not a backup. It is a career. It is a career. And understanding that this is what society needs. It's just what keeps society going. It's not just, like you're a plumber, you're an electrician. Oh, when time comes, you need these people, you're going to pay for it. And so understand that facet, but they also need to know what are the skill trades? What is involved in the skill trades? What is considered the skill trades? This is essential for anybody. If you want to go to construction, there's so many facets of construction sector to get into. There's the equipment, the heavy duty equipment, the dozers, the cranes, everything. Yes. So they need to understand that these require a certain level of education to be even get into it. It's I'm passionate about it. I don't like to use the word passion. To me, it's a duty. Okay, passion seems selfish, but it's a duty because I've witnessed all this for the 40 odd years I've been working in the school, in the industries. And so they need to know, but there's other barriers they're going to face. As a Black person or as a woman, when you go into these skilled trades, you're going to face a lot of obstacles. Okay. And these obstacles are there to want you to fail. Okay, they want you to fail. And then they say, well, you're not capable of doing this. That is what you need the support groups to assist you with. Because I went through the same thing. When I started my training in the second year, I wanted to drop out because I had a person who was the chief technician that I was working with. He made my life a living hell. And I was going to quit. And it was one Scottish guy that said to me, he said to me, don't quit. He said, whatever you finish with this, they can't take it away from you. And I sat back and I said, yeah, you're right. Whatever this guy dished out to me, I took it. Because I said, it's only a matter of time, okay? And so the thing I normally say to people to use, it too will pass. And once it's passed, you know you're strong enough to continue. So that's the advice I like to give to people, because it's not going to be though the money's great, but there's a prerequisite for you getting that money. And it's not something you just do in a week. It's I'm gonna be earning $100 an hour. No, you've got to work towards it, and it's a journey. It's like everything else is a journey, and what you learn is what they pay for. And your knowledge that you gain from the training and the work things you do, you're constantly learning. You never stop learning in the skilled trades. Okay? So that's the only advice I can keep to anybody who wants to get into the skilled trades. It's not going to be an easy route, right? And anything good is not easy. If it's easy, it doesn't work out that way.
I agree 100%. I agree. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Joseph. So Stacey Ann, I have a question for you. From what Joseph said and Terrence mentioned earlier as well, most of the time people have tendency of thinking of the trade as a backup plan. What can we do to bridge those gaps? What can we do to make sure that people know that the trades is a skill? It's something that is important. Without the trade, you wouldn't have heats, like the heating and cooling, air conditioning in your house. You wouldn't have the water faucet, the shower, so many different things. Or you wouldn't even have a roof under your head.
I mean, there needs to be a conversation with parents. I mean, I'm an auntie of 6 nephews, and I think we're missing the true value of people in the skills trade. And I want to take everyone back to a quote by Marianne Shad, who said that self-reliance is the road to independence. And we need to understand that being a plumber, being an electrician is actually a life skill. When you think about what it means to have building blocks of wealth, okay? Being able to build your house with your bare hands and not have a mortgage and all that ties into that concept. And parents really need to start teaching their kids this concept of independence, building your own construction company, your own landscaping company, entrepreneurship. These are things of value that could help you to build true lasting wealth and have something to pass to generations. So when the conversation starts there, then we can see the value and the importance. Like, nobody wants to have a leak in their house, but if you have a leak, imagine if you have a nephew who's a plumber, right? You can't fix the light. You have another nephew who's an electrician. They need to understand that it is a life skill. It is a very essential skill. So I think just the conversation around what it means to be a tradesperson starts at home, starts with the parents, starts with people who mentor young people, so they could see that it's just as valuable as being a doctor. It is just as important as being a lawyer. Like, one is not better than the other. And if we want to start having true wealth in our community, we have to have skills that we can put into the marketplace. You have to have a skill that you can market, that somebody will pay for. And so a lot of youth today want to be entrepreneurs, but they're not seeing the intersection with, I could be a plumber and build my own plumbing company. Like, I had the opportunity to interview Mr. David Moody. This man is running a multi-million-dollar construction. He hired lots of people who look like him for the last 30 years and said he never missed payroll. That's what he told me. He never missed payroll in 30 years. And so he was able to see that you can go into construction and create opportunities for your own people who have barriers to employment. Because there comes a time when you're knocking on doors like myself to get a job and they're not hiring us. So we have to create our own jobs. We have to create our own opportunity. And we have to teach the kids of today to build these skills that are entrepreneurial skills, where they can create their own institutions and give jobs. Other than that, they're going to be at the mercy of the legal system and the potholes that are there. But if you have a life skill, you will be looked at as different in society. You will be respected. And so that's, for me, the conversation I have with my nephews about the different building blocks of wealth. And there's so many different careers we could take, and there's such great value in the trade. So I think when we change how we perceive tradespeople and put the respect that it deserves, then children will be inspired to want to do it because then they'll see the value. And in some other communities, the reason why they're builders and developers because their granddaddy and their daddy was builders and developers. And children usually aspire to be what they see in their family or in the media. So when it comes to the fact that they're not seeing enough Black people, especially men in these industries, they see them playing sports, they see them, you know, rapping songs. So it's very easy to ask a young person who's a boy, what do you want to be? I want to be a basketball player, because I've mentored a lot of these kids and that's what they kept saying. So that's why we have to remind them, go where you don't see yourself. Have you met a Black developer? No. Maybe you can be that Black developer. Have you met a Black electrician? No. Well, go find them and mentor them. You can do that too. So a lot of it has to do with where we're being represented, and we're sometimes overrepresented in certain industries and then underrepresented in other industries. So when you hear of someone like Mr. Moody, Google him, research him, reach out, right? I've reached out and we had a great conversation, and then you realize what is possible, right? And how you can change not just your own life, but your entire community. Like imagine being able to hire hundreds of people through the skills trade. That is, for me, revolutionary, right? So I think when we have those type of conversations earlier and plant that seed, that's how we can transform our community.
Thank you. Well said.
Sorry for the long answer, but you know, this is my heartstring, these type of issues.
I love it. And that's the reason why I invited you as a personal personal coach. No, it's development coach. That's what we call you. So anyone here, if you're interested and you want to talk to Stacey Ann, she is an encyclopedia. I know I say always in French. And do you know what I mean by encyclopedia?
Yes, I do.
It's like if you need any information, you need to scale up, like anything that you need, Stacey Ann would be ready to give you all the details, train you, do anything that I'll let her speak to you. Like just get her contacts and then talk to her. So Terrence, I have one last question. When it comes to the apprenticeship to become a plumber, how long is the program?
The program is 5 years.
5 years?
5 years. Excuse me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, 5 years on-job training and theory in university.
And do you need to, when you start, do you need to, like, is it the same as all the other apprenticeship where you go on site as an apprentice, work as you earn? And
yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then afterward, and then do you basic, intermediate, and advanced?
Exactly.
Or just, okay, so pretty much same. You need to do.
Yeah, so during your 5 years, you will you'll go to work, and then you will get laid off and go to school, and you will earn EI while you're in school.
And what is the wage? What do you start with, if you remember?
Right now, your starting wage is about $20 an hour.
Pretty much like carpenters.
But that's not your total package. That's just what you're gonna see on your paycheck. So your total package to start is almost $40 an hour with benefits and everything all in. Because that's really what you're working for.
As an apprentice first year.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So you hear everyone. So, and I don't know why parents always have tendency of wanting youth and children to go become doctors, become teachers. Skilled trades is a trade that you cannot replace. It's needed. And because even Darshika mentioned it earlier, where we have a lot of baby boomers who are retiring. So we are in need of a lot of skilled trade workers. And with the help of Joseph, Stacey Ann, Terrence, and the TCBN crew, I really want to thank every single one of you for taking the time. So now we're going to turn it to the participant and ask if they have any questions, concerns, because of we're almost running out of time. I want to really say thank you. It was really informative.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Like, it's great.
Keep up the good work.
Oh, merci. Thank you. So any questions? Yeah, Cliff is here.
Yes. Hi, how you doing?
Good, and you, Cliff? Thank you.
Not so much a question, but a comment. First of all, Thanks very much, Rokhaya, for putting this on. It's actually extremely informative. And for all the participants, all the presenters, it just amazes me how much I'm surprised that my head has not fallen off, because everything that everybody says just rings so true, so so real, and I just wish that your audience could be so huge that it reaches out to a lot more people, because people need to know these things. And a lot of people have been saying it, and a lot of people have been hearing it, but we need a lot more people to get on this, so that when we speak, we can be heard. You know, because when one person speaks, or you know, it's kind of difficult for people to you know, to get through. But the bigger the crowd, then the louder the voice. So thanks for doing this, and thanks everyone. Really, this has been very, very inspiring. By the way, I'm a carpenter at Carpenters Local 27, so I'm 100% trades. All right.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Cliff.
I'm also an instructor at the training center, CCAT. So Joseph, I feel your pain.
Thank you, my brother.
But do you know what? I wanted to thank everyone, in particularly Afro-Politan Canada, because if it wasn't for them coming to talk to me about this wonderful level of program, we wouldn't be here today. So I wanted to really take the time to really say thank you, and also our sponsor, CIBC, because they've done a tremendous work in coming and talking to Afro-Politan and getting us going. And for me, it's something where I've always been passionate. That's true. I didn't even introduce myself. Always been passionate about construction, technology, community engagement. Like, I wear many hats. I'm also an organizer. So I just enjoy connecting people, making sure that we all rise and then we're successful, right? So I'm a mentor and a coach, and I'm also a mentor in Toronto Community Benefit Network, and just love the trade. So I graduated in George Brown in construction engineering technician management, worked one day in the trade in orientation, the next day work start at 7, daycare start at 7. So I had to choose, ended up giving up. And then started working in telecommunication. And for 17 years and a half, I worked in telecommunication and moved 9 different departments. While I was doing that, I was also volunteering for Habitat for Humanity, volunteering for $1 Million Smiles, where we usually build playground for children battling critical illnesses, doing renovations on the side, you know. And what happened, why I selected this is because I had a single mom with a little one. Every time something broke on my townhouse, I would contact the neighbor's husband, wait till he comes, and then he comes start fixing the house. I'm like, I went to Canadian Tire, got my tools, starting, it's not working out. Back then, there was no YouTube as much. Now, you know, Instagram, Facebook, it was 20 years ago. So over 20 years ago. So it's like, you know what do I do between pharmaceutical, you know, or construction? I selected construction, and voila. And from there, and when I got laid off at Rogers, I was like, woo, this is amazing. Let me do the entrepreneurship. So created Global Connection Venture. Then at the same time, start Googling, looking for what can I do to go into the trade? Where can I go? And behold, guess what? Toronto Community Benefit Network. I found them online. They're looking for people that want to join the trade. Made a phone call, booked my appointment last year, and it was history. Went and volunteered to provide some flyers, met the Carpenters Union team. Guess what? They hired me. And now I am part of the team. I'm one of the delegates of the Toronto and York Labor Council. I'm also part of the Carpenters Union Committee, Diversity and Inclusion. And also I sit on several different, people know me. I sit on several different non-for-profit organizations as the president or director. So I'm one of those typical person that just love and enjoy doing everything and giving myself 100% and making sure I connect people and people can be successful that way. So on that note, I want to say a heartfelt thank you to every single one of you for taking your time on a long weekend, believe it or not, to come here and hear us out. And Joseph, Stacy Ann, Terrence, Fatma, Afropolitan, and all the participants, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rokhaya.
Thank you so much.
It was a
Rokhaya,
pleasure. It was a pleasure.
We're proud. I'm proud of you, Rokhaya.
Yeah.
And you have a gift, and it's something that needs to be nurtured. And if there's anything I can support you with, let me know.
Absolutely, thank you.
Because there is avenues that there are gaps still to be filled. I think you have the passion and to do it. I have the duty to help you. My passion's gone. I'm retired now, so.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
All right, have a great weekend.
Okay, stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rokhaya. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Au revoir.
Well, for